Now it's recording. Hey guys, welcome. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right. Is it in the speakers? Wait 1 second. Yes. Okay. Okay. Hey guys, welcome to the Marketing Crystal Ball IPL versus Elections Showdown brought to you by DMA Brandmasters. Today we are talking a unique perspective on marketing within the high energy world of the IPL and elections through the eyes of Ronak Sheth, marketing maestro at 361. Welcome, Ronak.
Thank you, Preeti.
And I'm your host, Preeti Hoon. And in this episode, we're exploring the synergies and challenges of brand partnerships in the sports arena and especially during the IPL and the contrasting election season. Well, to begin with, let me ask Ronak, how is the fervor keeping up and with him, and how is he keeping up with the fervor of elections in IPL?
Thank you for having me on this show, Preeti. I think elections and IPL both are very dear to our nation. I think everyone is talking about it, right? One is a religion, another I think is a way of life for us for the last two terms where the government has been building the nation, and we've seen fantastic results. At least generically speaking, right? I think. Lots of conversations, lots of predictions. I think both these events get all the pundits out in the market
Yeah.
trying to predict who is going to win.
Yes.
And I think that's the commonality between both the events that we see.
Yeah, that's the question I'm not going to ask you because I know I won't get an answer. So, so coming to the media part, how are you balancing your media spends between digital and traditional platforms for maximum impact during these high-profile events like IPL and general elections?
Sure. Preeti, as we deal with ultra high net worth individuals, right? For us, the genre that we speak to is very, very different compared to a lot more consumer facing brands in the marketplace, right? So for us, it's business as usual. We do not have specific media buy-ins, etc., during these two time frames. What we definitely will be doing is given uh, the heightened activities that happen during these months. For example, IPL for us is a great opportunity to engage with our audience on ground as
Hmm.
opposed on through advertising, right? So we end up taking our clients to various matches across the city and make them a part of it. As
Oh,
far as
I see.
Yeah, as far as elections are concerned, of course, July, we have some global events as well happening across, right? So, given that our clients are globetrotters, we will end up inviting them across those events. But yeah, we'll make sure that none of them miss the mandate of voting.
Ah, that's nice. But how do you sort of, uh, like you said that, these are HNIs and these are like really high profile clients of yours. And it's more like a networking event for you then, more than advertising or getting, have a direct participation into the event.
Correct. So for us, Preeti, this turns out to be a two-prong agenda. One is acquiring, where we invite large prospects to such events. Second is engagement, where we take some of our existing large clients to build deeper, meaningful relationships. This also is kind of understood through our brand purpose called Performance Plus. Performance is where the client expects us to deliver on their portfolio, while the plus component, where the experiential marketing activities play a huge role, which the clients expects from us.
Sure. And what about the content innovation and all of this? Like, you have certain specific content strategies that you're employing to stand out in the cluttered media's landscape. And I know that you're not even participating, but then you must be having certain strategies in place, right? So, what are those, and how do you define them, and how do you sort of zero down on them?
Sure. So for us, Preeti, content and thought leadership is extremely critical,
Hmm.
given that these ultra high net worth individuals park very large sums of monies with us. So, for example, for a client to get on board 361 Wealth, the person has to have at least a minimum of 3 million US dollar of investable surplus, which essentially translates to almost 20 to 25 crores of AUM, which they have to kind of bring on board. Uh,
Okay.
the moment I'm talking to people of that stature, thought leadership expertise translates into a very key component of the brand messaging that we end up doing with them, and which is not selling, it's about education, it's about knowledge. And that's been one of our cornerstones for many years now, where it's our fiduciary responsibility to impart knowledge, to provide client with an unbiased view and opinion of how should they go about managing their wealth. And that continues to be our bedrock on which we've built this franchise over the last 16 years, and now becoming one of the leading wealth and asset management players in the country.
I see. And so what about traditional versus digital? If you are a very neat service brand per se, then how do you sort of have yourself on traditional versus digital media?
So I think we have we everyone knows these days that nobody can ignore digital media for sure, right?
That's right.
No matter how rich or how poor you are, everybody is there on digital media consuming different kinds of content, and not necessarily just social media content, right? So for us, both the mediums are extremely important. While a lot of our thought leadership and expertise transpires through on ground events and activations that we have, which allows us FaceTime with our customers on a direct basis, taking that data, taking that content, taking that expertise onto our digital platform through various IPs and thought leadership practices that we deploy allows us also to reach many more people with the same issues, the same challenges, the same gaps that, or the same questions that they may have, right? So it allows us to kind of personify what we do on ground through digital medium.
Right. And what about the audience engagement and how do you tailor your advertising strategies? Because, and especially for a brand like yours, to engage or specific audience during the IPL and general elections. Since I'm sure that most of the people, not, I mean, 90% of them would be glued to their television, and that these events will garner more attention than anything else in the coming few months. How do you you know sort of get those for you, like in your favor, and attract attention during these times?
Oh. So, while you will see some of the strategies getting played out as we reach those milestones, and let me not kind of break the suspense, but what I would like to definitely point you towards something that we did during the last World Cup that India hosted, where every match that India played, we put out an economic scorecard with that country and pegging India versus that country across some 7 to 8 parameters. And then we push that out a day prior to the match that was happening. We saw humongous traction, right? So we matched parameters like GDP growth rate between India and say the other country, right?
Mm-hmm.
We looked at population, we looked at per capita income, right? So we looked at multiple economic factors between the two
Mm-hmm.
countries and how did each country fare on each of those parameters. We did it for about 8 to 10 matches that India played during the last World Cup, and in total we received over 2.5 million views across this information pegs that we put out on digital media.
I see. And will did that help you to convert?
Well, conversion for us, given the space that we are in, isn't that simple. I
Yeah.
wish I could get Ultra HNIs to give me 25 crores by just looking at an advertisement. I would be the happiest person on earth. But
Having
yes, it
said
does
that,
allow.
like, do you find the need for marketing then?
Oh, absolutely. I think the old adage in Hindi that goes right, "Jo dikhta hai wo bikta hai," right? I think it still holds true
Absolutely.
even in today's day and time. It's very, very important for us to be on top of the mind recall of our potential consumers. It is very important for us to also maintain our expertise and leadership and pole position that we own in the marketplace today amongst our existing audience as well, right? So all of the marketing activities, which is knowledge or even say content pegs that we put out, are extremely critical in this space.
Do you think that HNIs are really searching for you before investing in your company or
I
giving
think
you the money?
all I think all HNIs and ultra HNIs do want to look at the competition landscape, look at what options they have,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So it may not be looking at us, but looking at options that they have, and whom should they reach out to, right? So every new client we acquire, we know that the customer has at least looked at 4 to 5 wealth managers before choosing at least 2 or 3 in the first year. And as they progress, they further consolidate their portfolios with maybe 1 or 2 wealth managers. So it's,
Oh,
it's, it's a very common phenomenon.
oh, very interesting. But given the ticket size, do you think that the transformation, the transformation is really helpful to you? And is technology playing a vital role?
It is indeed, Preeti. As we are seeing, say, let's take for example my father. Right now, he's investing in the stock markets. He is talking and he's looking for new avenues, right? He's far more tech savvy as far as certain platforms are concerned than a lot many more people. He's 70 plus, right? uh, in the same breath, I would also like to say that we are seeing a huge intergenerational wealth transfer from the older generation to the newer generation, right? And the newer generation is far more tech savvy. They are looking at DIY solutions. They are looking at uh, solutions which are available to them at the tips of their fingers, right? They
Hmm.
don't want, and on demand, no matter where they are, when they are, whenever
Okay.
they want to be able to have access, right? Unlike the traditional form of wealth management, which would happen in person, face to face, in a meeting kind of a setting. So
Sure.
more and more we are seeing transition towards using technology, using digital platform to engage with us.
Sure.
And then we are
But what
heavily investing in our digital and our tech platforms on a regular basis.
Okay, and what strikes my mind on that, Ronak, is that since it's a high ticket size dealing service, wouldn't it be more trustworthy to have the person right in front of you rather than being online and giving you immediate solutions, but isn't the trust factor a big role when it comes to an organization like yours?
Absolutely right, Preeti. You couldn't have been more right than what you've just said. And the entire wealth management, the entire premise of having a wealth manager is based on trust and transparency. And that's why for us, it's not pure digital. So we are may
Hmm.
not be a D2C brand. It's a phygital platform, right? Where it's a combination of having a physical presence, but being able to do things digitally, right? Which is more about ease and accessibility. So, for example, if a customer wants to look at their portfolio statement, they need not call a relationship manager and say, Acha, send me my portfolio statement. They should be able to log in on an app or on a website and just look at it
Mm.
on a real-time basis,
Okay.
when and wherever they are, right, across the globe.
Right.
Right?
Right. So,
But
so
in
you
case
have
they
the
want to do
combination in place where
but in
the
case they
trust is
want to
involved
maybe
as well as the tech.
Yeah, and in case they want to do a large ticket investment, let's say they want to deploy say 50 crores or 25 crores, then they would call a relationship manager, meet them, or come over to our office, and then the conversation would take place. And then the
Sure.
execution could be both physical or digital.
Okay. Okay, sure. I want to bring back your focus on the IPL and elections. What do you think that the digital transformation has actually played a vital role in these particular events, according to you? And what should be a brand's approach towards these high octane events?
Yeah, I think for mass consumer facing brands, IPL for sure is a once in a year kind of an opportunity with the and then we all see this clearly when we are watching television matches on in our homes, right? These days all the at least specifically Disney Hotstar has started showing the number of viewers viewing that specific match at that specific point in time, right? And during the World Cup we saw that number crossing astronomical figures, right?
You think those are real?
uh yeah, I would accept that as face value, not as a marketer, but as a consumer. So and I think, but yeah, I think I'm sure there is some merit in how data is getting reported across businesses.
Sure.
Uh, the transparency on data, the way we are measuring data has improved dramatically from what we used to look at and how we used to look at data earlier, right?
Okay.
And I think that's one reason why these events for any mass consumer facing audience becomes literally like a mecca of opportunity.
Sure. And what about the ROI measurement during these events? Can you discuss the matrix and tools do you use for your brand per se? And what are the like the during the advertising investments that you make, and what are the ROIs that you expect out of those, and what are the tools that you actually put in use?
Sure. So there are two or three, maybe three kinds of advertisements or outreach programs that we end up doing at 361. One is, which, like we said, is purely thought leadership, which is aimed at improving the knowledge base of existing as well as potential consumers. And it also allows us to improve our brand credibility in the marketplace,
Mm-hmm.
and awareness, both. That eventually we've seen over a period of time may not be an immediate transfer or conversion for the customer, but becomes an important point of decision making in choosing to having us in the fray of the shortlist that the customer wants to talk to. Right. And that thus then, which is essentially it gets us a foot in the door, and then it's up to us how we are able to convince and get the customer on board, right? So for us, these are the two three ways in which we measure uh, advertising or outreach programs that we kind of do with our consumer. The ROIs may not be immediate, but in long term we've
Correct.
seen that the better known the brand is, the better trusted the brand is, and pretty for us and then for our customers primarily who come through referencing,
I
it
was
becomes
about to say word of mouth.
extremely
Yeah.
extremely important, right?
Hmm.
When you've seen us, when you've heard us, when you've interacted with us, and then one of your members in your close circuit refers to us, right?
Correct.
It
Right.
just kind of comes together.
So word of mouth is a part of your ROI. measurement.
Extremely important. And referencing is how this industry works, right? So if Preeti is a customer and she's been extremely satisfied with the outcomes, right? She would refer us to multiple more people within her circuit, and that's how we grow. That's how we get new introductions.
But Ronak, you living in the times of influencers, how does that fare out for you? What about celebrity partnerships? How critical are those for you, or are they not?
Uh, as a marketeer, they are. But as a brand, we have strict guidelines from the regulators,
Hmm.
and even today, if you see a lot of influencers and celebrity, people who work in the financial services space now needs to be approved by the regulator. They need to get clearance from them before they are even able, or before we are even able to get them on board. So if we get influencers and celebrities on board kind of selling our products or services, um, it's a big no for us given the advertising code of SEBI.
What about the credible influencers, those who have passed
Very
the checks and balances?
very few today.
Yeah.
And I think for us, the larger influencers are not the celebrities,
Hmm.
but our existing clients who've experienced our service, who've experienced our expertise, and then become advocates of our brand within their circles and networks. I think that for us is far more enduring and is far more
Hmm.
getting us those necessary new clients on board. So
Sure.
our influencers are not people with 2 3 million followers. Our influencers are sitting within our organization
So,
itself.
so you have micro influencers in house. Okay. So, what about the influencer and celebrity partnerships during the IPL and general elections? What are your thoughts on that?
See, I think given that a lot of each team during in the IPL is owned by a celebrity itself, speaks volumes about how IPL is conducted in our country.
Do you think that's cluttered because there are already so many celebrities involved? If a brand gets more celebrities, I mean, where is the USP?
Yes and no. Yes, because the celebrities who own brands are not essentially endorsers of different brands during that period of time. Thus, and human beings are drawn by people who they look up to, right? Specifically from Bollywood, specifically from the OTT channels these days, which has become very popular. So people do want to listen to from these people. So I think brands leaning towards such individuals has a way forward. All of us are consumers, right? Forget you for a moment that you and I are marketeers, right? We are also consumers, and a lot of our decisions on the kind of products we consume or on the
Yeah.
kind of content we consume is also largely driven by a lot of these influencers that we follow or we look up to.
Hmm. Okay. What about sponsorship decisions at your end? How do you take those when it comes to events like IPL and general elections? And what factors do influence your decisions?
So for us, any sponsorships that we end up doing, irrespective of IPL or general elections, are driven I by a couple of parameters. One,
Mhm.
uh, a long-term view. So we usually will avoid one-time, short-term partnerships. We usually would like to take a 3 or a 5 year horizon view and do something which is long-term because Preeti, partnerships which are one-time will only deliver on certain brand visuals but not ROI. for a great ROI over the investments that any brand is making, and this is my personal view, they would need to be on that platform for a longer period of time to be able to build deeper and meaningful relationships with the organizers as well as the audience.
Hmm.
So constant visibility. Let's take for example marathon in Mumbai, right? Uh, Everybody calls it the Tata Marathon. Even when in between Tata had moved out and there was another brand come in, we still called it the Tata Marathon. Right now,
Okay.
that's the power of long-term sponsorship.
Before it was Standard Chartered, right? It was more known
Correct.
for many I mean, many years. It was Standard Chartered Marathon,
Correct.
if I'm not.
Correct. Correct. Right. But right. So that's what I'm saying. Right. So longevity
Yeah,
on
correct.
a certain platform, when a brand takes a
It
very
stays in your
long-term
mind,
view,
and
it
yeah.
just kind of has a huge impact, right, in the way you pronounce that platform. Right. So I think so that's
In
very
Delhi, we have Airtel.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that's very important, and that's a view that we've always taken at
Okay.
361. And as far as IPL is concerned, again, same way. It's an expensive sport. It doesn't come cheap. We've got some opportunities in the past and even now to be part of IPL in various ways. We are exploring that, but again, we would want to take at least a 3 to 5 year view and not a single season view.
Sure. And what about elections, which usually like Lok Sabha elections are once in 5 years? What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on that? If a brand goes in for 1 year, that brand has to wait for next 5 years to be a part of that event.
See, I think the biggest challenge that any brand faces is the side they're taking and what is the outcome, right? Because we are trying to build predictability, and what if that predictability does not come true, right? At least at least right now we all know which way the nation is moving ahead, right? But
Right.
it's politics. There is always a curveball uh, coming around. So
Hmm.
uh, I think general elections could be a slippery ground for brands, and they need to be really, really sure of how they are projecting themselves.
Hmm.
IPL, of course, you can do so many things. There's so many innovations that can be done by brands in and around IPL, and not necessarily at a very, very high cost. I think IPL is all about innovation, not about spending monies.
Sure. And what are your predictions for the future and based on current trends, like you just discussed, for the future of advertising in the context of major events like IPL and elections?
Okay, so advertising in general, I don't
Yes.
think is going to die, as we've been hearing a lot of rumors or a lot of conversations around it. I don't think as a marketing advertising is going to be dead. What we definitely need to look at is how advertising can connect with its audience, how we've seen it in the past. If while we were growing up in our 90s and early 2000s, we've seen great advertising, uh, right? But that made left a mark on its audience, almost getting the product synonymous to the advertising that was being showcased, right? Today, I think amongst the clutter that we have in terms of content, in terms of distractions, in terms of low attention spans of consumers, it's becoming difficult, but I think it's not impossible. Just that it needs to have an emotional connect with the consumer. And wherever we see today an advertising or an advertisement which has that emotional feel to it, does leave a mark on the audience, right? So I think
Exactly where AI will not play out.
exactly where AI will not play out, right? AI, see, AI, I think still follows the cardinal rule of
Yeah.
king, right? What goes in will come out. So it really depends on the input that you give, the prompt that you
Hmm.
give.
Absolutely.
The output will be based on that.
It's like Google search,
It's like
right?
Google search.
What is the difference? I don't see a difference. It's like that's all the mind you have to put in, to get the result. So
Totally.
what about the challenges, biggest challenges and opportunities? And it's my last question to you. You foresee in advertising for the upcoming IPL and elections, and how is your brand preparing to tackle them?
Interesting question. Uh, so I think like I said, right? Innovation will be the key as far as IPL is concerned. I think there the more innovative you are, uh, in how do you capture the favor of IPL, that is going to set the brand apart. And I think
Okay.
the same applies even for elections, right? Because election is trying to predict the mandate of the common man of India, which is impossible to do in my mind, right? Uh, of course, we know which way the wind is blowing, but politics, and when we've seen enough surprises in the past also, right? So I think for as a marketer, I would focus more on IPL innovation as opposed to election innovation. uh,
Mm-hmm.
but in election, I think what I would definitely, if I was supposed to go out and create advertising, I would not talk about who's going to win, but I would
Hmm.
talk about go and vote, which is a
Yeah.
fundamental right, and choose the government correctly.
Hmm.
I
Correct.
think that knowledge, that information, that approach is very important, right? And given that it's a fundamental constitutional right given to us, we still don't see a lot of people, executing it. So I think that's the route probably I would take if I was to go advertising route for the general elections.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ronak. And that was a great conversation with you and your expertise and the examples you've shared today and for your invaluable insights. It was great having you for our show.
Thank you so much, Preeti. It was lovely having this conversation with you, and I hope the audience has some few takeaways from this.
I'm sure they do. And to our listeners, we hope you found inspiration and actionable strategies in today's discussion. If you enjoyed this exploration into sports marketing and brand partnerships, please like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Thank you for joining us on the Marketing Crystal Ball IPL versus Elections Showdown. I'm Preeti Hoon, encouraging you to embrace innovative partnerships and strategic thinking in your marketing endeavors. Stay tuned for more marketing insights in future episodes. Goodbye for now. Bye, Ronak.
Bye. Thank you so much, Preeti. Hope it was useful.
Yes, yes.